What's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, it's Nestlemania alongside for the ride is a man that, well, he's never been a day one douchebag, JC.
That much is true, but Nestle, guess what?
What?
It doesn't matter what you think. I love doing that. Now the Rock's back, so I can do it every week.
He's not going to do it every week.
I mean, I might do it every week.
Well, you can do it every week, but
I'll
again,
just ask you a question when you'll be so unsuspecting, and I'll just say you don't matter. You know.
Well, I think the general gist of this program is that everybody thinks I don't matter. So don't think you need to remind people every week. Jesus Christ, bring the numbers up, right? Find a new co-host. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about. We've got World's End. We've got day one-ish. We are currently up against AEW Dynamite. We might have more viewers than Dynamite. I don't know, but that's okay. But we're here to talk wrestling. We love wrestling, and we always start in the positive, right? In the shine, always in the shine with the Mandy Rose. Go to tpublic.com/jobberknocker, by the way, to grab some awesome gear. You can have the sticker, by the way. This is what I have now on my those are some nice stickers right there. And some other things too. By the way, TJ, our boy TJ, did another Royal Rumble-esque Jobber Knocker t-shirt. Go check that out, as well as he says there's going to be some surprises coming our way when it comes to t-shirt design, and there's going to be a sale coming up at the end of the month. Keep an eye out for that. And just house cleaning items tonight. New Japan has their huge WrestleMania Wrestle Kingdom. And there's only one man that I trust with anything Japanese wrestling. That is one Derek, depending on who you talk about. Derek Conway when he's wrestling. Dennis Conway, the human being. Excuse me for that. Conway in general. Follow him everywhere. SSJ Pegasus does an amazing job on jobberknocker.com. It's up on our socials. He gives you the rundown because I don't know anything about Wrestle Kingdom anymore. I don't watch NJ, PW. So he is my go-to person injected in my veins. Go check out that because he does a lot of great work.
Yeah, I'm excited to read it because I only watch that when him or Dom tell me I need to watch it. And look at one of our matches of the year from the Knocker Awards, which you haven't seen, you should go check out on demand, was from Wrestle Kingdom last year. So there you go.
It is a lot of work to do. So, I mean, that is a long night of 8-man tags, 6-man tags, tag teams, junior tags, yada 3-man, whatever, weaving here and there. So it's a lot. And so if you're up in the middle of the night watching this stuff, God bless, because that is hardcore wrestling fandom. And daddy needs his sleep, so I ain't up. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's get to the positive. Let's get to a lot of fun here. There's a lot to talk about in this program. And JC, I'll let you start because this is your area.
Yeah, always in the shine, much like Mandy Rose. Obviously, I thought this was a pretty good day one of Raw this week. And just so you know, guys, since it is a Wednesday, I'm going to be mixing a little bit of NXT because they had their big show last night and there was some great stuff going on there. But we're going to start with day one because it was the first day of 2024. This is the first Jobber Knocker podcast of 2024. This is the first shine of 2024. And Nestlemania, you know what? I'm in a really good mood, and I figured, why don't I put Nestle in a good move? And why don't we start with Nia fucking Jax and Becky Lynch? Because that match kind of ruled. It kicked off the year. You're like the biggest Nia Jax defender in the world. Like most people, she's not my favorite, but I respect what she can do. But her and Becky, this is something that I said the last month, I need to see it. I just have to see it. It's been a long time coming. And these two women delivered in Nestlemania. Your girl, Nia, got the dub.
I was shocked. Absolutely floored. I did not watch it in real time because obviously I can't do anything in real time. But I try to stay off Twitter when I'm, trying to get ready to watch and everything. And I remember I out of the corner of my eye, I saw Danny, our boy Danny Grimwood, say, something nice about Nia Jackson. I was like, well, if for him to say something nice, I was like, it must be good. And then when I turned it on, I try not to have preconceived notions of what's going on. But when I watched the match, I was like, wow. Like, I know I give Becky an awfully hard time on this program, in life and whatever. But that's because, in my opinion, when you're in the upper echelon, when
I
you're up
agree.
that high,
Higher standards.
you higher standards and you're under the microscope, and that's what you get paid to do, right? And so you walk
Fair.
that tightrope. Nia Jax clearly not on the same level as Becky Lynch, but
Not
man,
walking many tightropes either.
not many. Maybe a piano wire or a couple, but that's okay. Beside the fact that I will say this much: it is hard to be the first match on the card and get people excited. That is like a job that a lot of people want and aspire to have. But man, when I watched that match, I thought everything about this felt fresh because it was, but also the one thing I liked about this was they played to both women's strengths. Like Becky kind of had to stick and move, and Nia was power. And then it was like, oh, speed is going to help her, power is going to help her. And it was great. Like watching Nia kick out at one, it doesn't matter what the match is. If I see in the beginning of a match where someone kicks out at one, I'm automatically in. I fucking love that shit because we're in tune as a fan to be like 1, 2, kick out, and that's the rest of the match until we get a 3 count. But when you get a kick out at 1, I love that. Fundamentally, think that's something that is lost in the art of professional wrestling. So I love that shit. I was just like, what a fucking monster. I love that. And then just across the board at the end there, where I know it was a happy accident, but sometimes somebody upstairs, whatever you believe in, just makes something happen, right? Like Nia wasn't supposed to punch her years ago and then made her the man, right? But the fact that they said that thing in the whole promo, and then at the end of the match, Nia's boot accidentally whacked her and then made her bleed. I was just like, you know what? This is so serendipitous. This is so just supposed to happen. It added to the match. Everybody's fine, which is, you do one of these and, the Hail Mary, and you hope everybody's fine in something, especially with the combatants that were in there. But man, across the board, that was the best. I agree with Danny. The best Nia Jax match I've ever seen. And on top of that, I want to see more of what they're going to do down the line. And I really, truly believe it. And you're going to say I'm a Nia honk, and that's fine. But I really, truly believe that what we talked about a couple weeks ago is Becky Lynch needs more dance partners. Becky Lynch needs more rivals, because to me, she'll always be tethered to Charlotte. She should have been tethered to Ronda, and they should have done something with Ronda, and they never did. And for me, it was like, you can say the Trish thing. I think the Trish thing was garbage. Nia Jax could potentially be her rival if they continue to do matches like this.
I will say you're wrong about one thing. That was not the best match in Nia's career. It was her second best match. Go back and watch her and Bayley in NXT. That was the best match of Nia's career. That match was absolutely phenomenal. The storytelling they did in that match. I believe, I can't remember if Bayley was the champion or Nia, or which one was the champion or whatever, but that was the best match in Nia's career. But this was a phenomenal number 2 for sure. And so obviously we haven't seen Nia in a match like this for a long time, but I kind of like the way they did this too, because now it sets up Nia as like immediate threat for Rhea. And Becky can go do her thing, whether it's at the Rumble or Elimination Chamber, to kind of build herself back up. And then, before she gets to her WrestleMania match, likely for the title, she'll probably have to go through Nia again. And now she has more of a reason and more of an underdog to do it. So I like the table they kind of set here with the booking of this match. The execution of the match was good. And it was a great way to kick off 2024 Nestlemania. And then just from there, we just kept on rolling, because I'm going to stick in the women's division, because I thought the Raw women's division shined on Monday night. We had hype packages for Ivy Nile and Rhea Ripley. Ivy Nile, she's already wrestled, had a longer match, I feel like, on the main roster than she ever did in NXT. This is one of the rare times, I will say, that Shawn Michaels, I felt like, always underutilized Ivy Nile, because she was just, obviously we know she's a valet for the Creed brothers, so they're just so big that it was nice to see her in a lawn match. I believe this was 3 segments, and like her and Rhea had instant chemistry. I love the spots they went for. I thought with the hype packages leading in that they really sold this match. And you know what? It's one of those things like they made a start without the person winning the match, and that's what you want to do. We've seen it a lot in the Triple H era with new call-ups. Be like, you know what? Throw them immediately in the fire, let them fail, but then at least now we know who they are. I guarantee you, people watching this show with a big star that we're going to talk about here in a few minutes being on it, that there were some extra eyeballs here, and I think Ivy Nile got a lot of new fans on Monday night, and that's exactly what you want to do, and I loved it.
Yeah, there's not much that I can add to what you say. I will think that the one thing that Rhea Ripley does very well is that spinning. It's like a head scissors into a DDT, and she sells it like fucking nobody like I've ever seen in my life. And she does such a great job, and she works that into her matches almost every single time. And she looks like she's dead, and I love it. I love that stuff. The other thing that I really enjoyed about this was not just the hype packages, not just the whole feeling of it, but the production value that goes into Monday Night Raw this week was across the board wonderful. But like you said, with Ivy Nile, we got to see her wrestling skills. We got to see what she was doing because we never really got a sense in NXT of how good she could potentially be. And we've talked about this time and time again. You don't need to win. I would prefer to lose all the time and just have a good outing, because then people get behind you. People want to see you succeed. They want you to get that to that point where it's just a groundswell. And I think that Ivy Nile has a huge upside going forward. I don't necessarily know how many times she could be champion, but definitely in the conversation for a championship reign at the very least once, maybe a couple times. And, you know, I will say, you know, she's lacking in a couple departments, but she is so young and so fresh. She'll get there. Like when you look at the promo department, not the strongest promo, but, you know, find me somebody that is right out of the gate, right? I mean, that's probably across the board hard to be that good at that age, you know, with talking. The one thing I will say that was, we talked about this, or I guess you did when you said the Shawn Michaels thing. I don't know if you noticed this, and you might say it's nitpicky Nestle, which, you know, go fuck yourself. But I'm just saying, this is what I picked up on.
You're setting yourself up for it to be nitpicky, so it's definitely nitpicky.
Oh, yeah, I know, absolutely is. Because what you said about Shawn Michaels not using her in longer matches in NXT, I wasn't really fully aware of this until I saw this matchup on Monday, was that Ivy Nile doesn't really sell. She doesn't really react to the strikes, or if she's in a move, she's not really finding herself selling her facial expressions. And again, it's nitpicking, right? Like she's going to get there. I know that because that's the thing that like comes later for a lot of people. But when I watched it, I went, Rhea's selling her ass off. She's making this completely believable. She's making this feel like this woman could beat her. And then I'm watching Ivy and I'm like, it's like almost like when Goldberg will get hit with a forearm, he'd just like shake his head. And I was just like, you're too small to be not selling. You're small enough. You should be selling. If you're small, you need to, that's what gets you your money. That's what gets you your heat. That's what gets you everything on your comeback for the crowd to come up from behind you and cheer for you. So again, she's going to get there, but she needs a hell of a lot of work in the selling department.
Yeah, that was pretty nitpicky, but I'll give it to you. But because it didn't take much away from it for me, because you know she does go for that tough girl gimmick. But I do agree. She obviously it's always surprising because she's so, like you can tell she's so strong, and the move she does, like holy shit. And then you're like, dude, she's like fucking the size of Liv Morgan. It's like
right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Nileberg. There you go. Thanks, Danny. Yeah, no, I know but these are things that not that she's ever going to listen to this podcast, but if that clipped off and she saw it on Twitter, I just want her to succeed. These are things that I see that can help you. That's all. It's just constructive criticism. I'm trying to be constructive in the podcast today. All right, constructive.
Yeah, that's what we'll call it. Well, that's what we'll call it, Nestlemania. But I guess we should go to where people want us to go next. Because can you smell what the jobber knocker is cooking? And Nestlemania, we love surprises. And it just this was very well rumored. This was coming soon. And when you're watching Jinder Mahal out in the rain for about 5 minutes, just undressing the crowd with America, it's like, well, we've already seen Cody. So what other American can you smell? I was like, okay, The Rock. So obviously this was The Rock's greatest hits, this segment. It went way over, but these are the types of segments where you want to go over. I love that Triple H and Co. did the sell as the joke of Jinder, that we all made the joke on the internet that it would be Jinder as the former world champion, and they fucking strutted it out. But obviously The Rock comes out, he insults him. He started a day one douchebag chant, which seemed never ending, but it's always cool when the crowd gets involved like that. I like that Mahal actually got a little offense in before we got the elbow of death on him, but and then obviously to end the segment, which we can get to as well, is The Rock asked if he got a big pop for saying he wanted to sit at the bar, but he was trying to get to say that he was interested in sitting at the head of the table.
So, I'll start there, right? So that's what we should really talk about. That you can span the 15 minutes he did his fucking tap dancing routine, whatever, but like the 3 seconds at the end was what everybody wants to talk
100%.
about. Right? That's what it is. He can come out and do whatever the fuck he wants because he's the fucking Rock, right? So for me, when I heard the head of the table, it was, oh boy, like he wouldn't. Here's the thing. The Rock is not gun shy, right? Like he knows what he's doing. So for him to physically put that out into the universe, you're thinking
he's the biggest star in the world. Like,
right,
he just,
you know what I mean? Like, and he knows, he's very smart. He knows you don't say that without delivering. You know what I mean? So it's in the works. Now, we've discussed this, I'm sure, privately, but it does bear repeating here. And also people at home are saying, what's going to happen, on the road to WrestleMania, right? For me, I think you and I might be on the same page here because, you love, your lips are permanently attached, the permanent attachment of the American Night Bum, like you love being on the
GOAT.
The GOAT. Yeah.
The true people's champion of 2024. Yes.
Oh, Jesus. All right. So yeah, the platinum man, with his blonde hair. But, so look, for me, it seems like a slam dunk to have The Rock versus Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber in Australia. Pack that fucking place, 80,000 people. Rock will fucking get off on it. Roman Reigns will get off on it. Here's my caveat with the whole thing. And this was somebody else's thing, and I saw it, and I wish I had kept their Twitter handle because it was a lovely idea. Non-title. That's what's important, not the title right here. But specifically, the red lays that he wears to the ring for the entrance is a symbolic tribal thing that is very important in their heritage, in their bloodline. And making this more about being basically The Rock really is the provider and the head of the table because the guy fucking left wrestling to become the biggest star in Hollywood and provides for like a lot of people. And for Roman Reigns to say that is kind of chuckling because The Rock like buys his fucking mom a house and fucking buys people cars and groceries and people he doesn't know. He probably just fucking does. You know what I mean? Like people just
The Rock's sitting at a different table. The thing is he wants to come and sit at Roman's table,
right,
which is the head of the table of WWE.
Danny's saying red lays on a pole match. Well, we could get Judy Bagwell's on a pole match or whatever. Judy Bagwell, God rest her soul. But I mean, if we could have a forklift on a pole match, there we go. But no, I think that Elimination Chamber is the place to do this. I think it sets up whatever you want to do there. It's a nice little stopgap for Roman. And of course, we can, have the Codester hopefully finally realize what we all want him to do this year for the love of God. Because if it's not, I think all of us might just cry and quit.
Don't get me started on that. But I will say that, I mean, we saw the reports last week about the thing that the Australian officials would love The Rock. And of course, here The Rock is out next week. And it makes a lot of sense. I think they would do it for the title because why not? If we expect Roman, the whole point, they've been trying to set up this match for like half a decade for The Rock to come back and put over his cousin and cement him as the guy of this generation. So I don't think there's any issue with putting that ugly piss title on the line for it because Roman's going to win anyways. But yeah, obviously, as someone who is a story fan, I want that story finished at WrestleMania with Cody and Roman. So this would have to be at Elimination Chamber. But I do agree. They're going to a new market. It's something that if the rumors are true, that's what the Australian officials want. It makes a lot of sense. Now, granted, what I would have done, I saw our boy Danny allude to it in the chat. I would have just booked The Rock and Grayson Waller because then you can have Grayson Waller put on a show in front of his hometown against that bum, The Rock. But obviously, yes, I'm being a little jokey. But that would be, I mean, those two have to do something together eventually, because it's a match made in heaven.
that to me is perfect for WrestleMania Waller effect, like with The Rock come out and then get some time, right? Like to me, that screams WrestleMania for me. Like that'd be a lot of fun. I think here's my downfall with The Rock and Roman at WrestleMania. If you do that, to me, yes, it's big box office. Yes, everybody's going to want to see it and tune in, but I feel like you are doing such a disservice to so many things because once we know it's The Rock versus Roman, we know Roman's winning regardless, right?
I think the issue is more of it's something that and we've seen it in the past in WWE. It doesn't send a good message to your locker room. And that's why I think the Elimination Chamber one works. And it's just like that's obviously it's a match that I will admit I could give a shit about The Rock wrestling in 2024, but Rock and Roman, like, of course, one of those you just gotta see it,
Mhm.
but I don't need to see it as the main event of WrestleMania because I'm someone who commits myself every day of the year to this fucking product. I'm someone who watches the people who are here 365 and these stories that they're setting up that you pay off at WrestleMania. And it just like sometimes when you have something undercut it doesn't feel as good. But obviously, if they did it, it's The Rock is Rocky in Philadelphia. It's like going to get all the casuals to tune in. But here's the thing: I think they're already going to do that anyways, as we kind of saw last year. The success they had and with it being on Peacock, that it just people are just interested, and they have enough other people they can put on, like the Logan Pauls of the world. I don't think they need this match at WrestleMania. But you put this match on an Elimination Chamber. Suddenly, an Elimination Chamber is getting the WrestleMania treatment in terms of viewership. So that's why I think that it's a good decision that it would be there. And I think it makes sense. And obviously, it's like you said, like we'd be stunned if The Rock actually beat Roman Reigns. Like that would be such a it would be like way worse than when Brock Lesnar beat Taker. Be like, oh my God, one of the most established guys just ended this iconic streak. It's like, oh my God, Roman's iconic streak is just ended by The Rock, a guy who's wrestled in 5 years, who's probably, honestly, let's be real. I love The Rock as an actor and everything, but those are all glamour muscles, bro. That dude, I mean, he gassed out after one elbow drop against Jinder. So in terms of a match, like it's going to be a lot of storytelling and slow. So he'll get away with it. But it's like The Rock's probably going to have some moments in that match to be like, oh boy. So it's kind of protect them a little too.
And I will say this much, right? When you are a WrestleMania main event, there is an absolute pressure point where it is you need to go 20 minutes or more. You need to give them everything you've got because you've seen 3 hours of fucking car wrecks and dangerous shit. And you know what I mean? You've talked them into the building. There needs to be a fucking conclusion to that match that everybody really wants to see. And I think if Roman Reigns is winning at the end of WrestleMania this year, I would think there is a large fan base that is going to, it's one of those things where you can say, oh, I'm going to stop watching and all that shit. And we're all going to continue to watch, but it's going to leave a sour taste in our mouth where I don't think Triple H is going to parade his ass out every fucking press conference saying fucking record breaking. Eventually it's going to stop if they keep doing it. But, one thing else I wanted to bring up here, which was Elimination Chamber, right? If we do it the right way, it doesn't really matter, no pun intended, that they can have any match they want there, right? Like, yes, it could go on last. It doesn't have to be 100 fucking minutes. It can be 10 minutes. It could be 15. Like it's fine. It's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. And
yeah, it's all about that music hitting and
right.
them going out there having the stare down and Roman getting the 1, 2, 3 and The Rock having to put a lay on him or something.
Right. And you acknowledge him. And that here's why you just talked me into this, JC. You made a great, as much as I don't like to pander to you, I will say this much. You can Barry Horowitz and pat yourself in the back, but you said the visual, right, of him putting the lays on him and acknowledging him. Now, take what JC just said, right? There's the visual of that fucking thing. The Rock fucking acknowledging this person saying, this is the fucking guy, right? That shit blows up everywhere. You're off to the races to WrestleMania with that fucking momentum. And then Cody wins because Cody's the guy that beats the guy. Cody's going to be fucking, we already know Cody's rocket ship is in the fucking stratosphere, but man, just that little extra juice I think that's an amazing idea, JC. I think that's wonderful.
I think it would be a cool visual, and it would be kind of like that would be like the cap to like the Roman story, because it's the one thing they've been trying to do for like 5 years to cement his legacy. Meaning that once you cement someone's legacy, that's when you can pull out the jackhammer and let Codelander go and finish that fucking story, baby.
Because if not, whew,
yeah, I can't do it again. I can't.
Adrenaline will be out of everybody's soul at that point. Anything else that is Rock related, or would you like to move on?
That's all I got really there, because I think we covered it. We're kind of on the same page with it. It's just I know a lot of people like it's going to be a debate about what WrestleMania. I mean, if he shows up in the Royal Rumble, then we're fucked. But I mean, we might not see him again till fucking a month before the show at this point. So
Roman has Heyman in the corner. Rock should have Vin Diesel. They just made up, so who knows, right? Too fast, too furious, too fast for y'all. All right. So anything else that's very positive? I have one, but I'll let you go in case you have another.
Oh, I was just going to say we had one of my favorite reunions ever on Monday Night Raw on Miz TV with the Awesome Truth, Nestlemania. Come on. These guys are like my favorite for a long time. It took us this long of the program to get to there, but that's how good day one was. But this was a fun little segment, obviously, with R-Truth and the Judgment Day. Miz TV is like, Miz all confused, and R-Truth comes out, and he's like, where's the rest of Judgment Day? And there were the little Jimmy references and all the nonsense. JD and Dom come out. Dom in his hometown of San Diego. And he got what he always got. A lot of booze, could barely talk. Great atmosphere, as always, to expect with Dom. So you knew what this was leading to. Tag team match, player. And we got Awesome Truth reunion. And they took out JD and Dom. And yeah, but it's just like the fun interplay of R-Truth being like, you're not even in Judgment Day anymore and all that stuff. Like, this was a really fun segment. It was a fun little match. They actually let breathe a little bit. It's fun to see R-Truth and Miz together, because they're just two guys their entire careers that just were underappreciated and now are just so appreciated. It's just cool to see.
Yeah, look, when I kind of already knew what was happening with that segment, so I already got the fill in with it, but like I still was excited. I was so excited to see it. And then R-Truth does amazing work across the board, but watching him go to the wrong corner and then like try to be, I'm part of Judgment. No, let's get JD. Let's get JD. Like that part was hysterical. And then the fucking Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, I'm sorry, I love you, and fucking Miz ducks, and he hits them, and then they fucking win anyway. Like I was just like, this, it's so easy, but not everybody can do it. It's
so easy with a guy like him, a guy like Miz. And when you have heels like Dom and JD,
right,
it's perfect.
It absolutely works. And it's just like, I bet you they had so many ideas that they had to stop at one point. But, all right, that's enough. Like, we could revisit this down the line. But like, I was just so happy to see the Awesome Truth together, because there's something about the two of them together that when I see Miz and Truth together, I keep thinking, why hasn't this been a bigger deal? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you look at it, JC, and you think like back then it was to set up Cena and The Rock. But I really enjoyed that entire thing. And all I kept thinking about was, why not? Like, why can't they be a fucking tag team from time to time? Like, it could work, right? Like, I think the crowd's into the Miz enough. R-Truth is on a trajectory right now with the fucking Judgment Day that continues to surpass my expectations every single week. And I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, no, this was just good TV. It was a nice haha mixed in with a lot of serious stuff. So this was good stuff.
Something else that I really, really enjoyed. Two things. I'll talk about it. I'll just label it production value, because I think it's interesting. They started off the show with Cole and Wade Barrett in the ring running down the card, which you're tugging at my heartstrings. This is the shit I grew up on. This is the shit I love.
Yep.
I try to implement this in the promotions that I work with. Like I'm like, this is the stuff that I like. So I saw that and I went, what a great presentation. And I love that stuff. Secondly, which I thought was wonderfully done, because we've talked about, oh God, we're scared about this, but they had a great, really well produced production values, high production value style with, Carter and Chance in the club, with Piper and Chelsea getting the drinks thrown at him and thrown out, and the whole kit and caboodle. But it had felt like NXT kind of a little bit, like the more kind of like mirrorless cameras, maybe a red cinema camera. It felt better than just having the regular WWE ENG cameras. And I love the filmic feel, the cinematic feel of it. it gives that feeling that somebody's special. It gives that feeling that they're important. In those tag titles were pretty much in the, you know, the toilet. There's no other
They
way
were
to say it.
nominated for Get 'Em Off My TV 2023. So.
Right. So I just want to say kudos to everybody involved in that, because it was small, but so large, and it spoke volumes to me that went like, all right, like, I love this. Let's see more of this. I want to see the voodoo bitches do something next. Let's go. You know?
Yeah, you hit it on the head being like a very NXT segment. Like we see that kind of stuff every week. Like they go on location, they do these little shoots to really give you, because especially in NXT, like the whole point is they're really trying to introduce you to these characters, so they have to do a lot of this stuff. And I like that Triple H is kind of adopting it, being like, look, Chance and Carter are new to the main roster. A big part of our audience has no idea who they are. They're small, so it's already like a thing that we got to work. So how do we get their characters to burst off the screen? And this was the perfect segment. Chelsea obviously sells it well with her facials and everything else. So this is exactly what it needs to be in Nestlemania. And you mentioned the magic word NXT. So before we leave the shine, I'd like to hit on the best storyline in wrestling right now. That's Trick Mello game. This story right now is the best thing going, not only in NXT, not in WWE, but across the wrestling world, because this has just been so good. Because we all know that is going to end eventually with Mello turning on Trick, but it's the ride we're getting along the way. Obviously, if you haven't watched NXT yet, Ilya could not go. He was not cleared by doctors. So Trick didn't have an opponent. Grayson Waller, my boy, shows up, which this was, again, good call by them. The only other Iron Survivor besides Trick Williams was Grayson Waller, who won it last year. So, you know, Mello says, oh, let's do a match and throw out your number one contender. So they had a banner of a match. Mello comes out, almost cost them, but I mean, NXT got spoiled last night with surprises, and one of them was KO coming out and giving Grayson the treatment. So Trick does retain his thing, but just week in and week out, the drama between these two has been so good. They were so connected at the hip through all of Mello's reigns. Like Trick did so much for Mello too, especially as a heel, because Mello was just someone people wanted to root for, but Trick was that heater. And now it's just crazy that it's flipped, that Trick has just become this like natural star that everyone's in love with, has such a fun entrance, such a fun character. His improvement in the ring is insane. So I just think like this is a good time for us to talk about NXT, because we don't get to do it much, but I know you love Trick Mello game too, so I'm curious your thoughts here.
So I first off just want to say what's up to World Elite Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Great stuff over there. Check out World Elite Podcast. They are awesome. And also our boy Bertsky is in the chat too. Oh yeah, man, Booker T. I love it. I love
so
it.
Good.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I saw the backstage segment. I thought that was kind of funny. And then what Mello did was he actually put out a Booker of the Year picture with him on it, which I was dying. And I'm like, what a fucking great idea. Secondly, the other thing too is not only did he put up the fucking, you know, the whole number one contendership thing, but if you look at the end of the match, like he ran out to technically distract Trick.
Yep.
But they didn't really call for it in some kind of capacity, enough for KO to hit Waller, throw him in, hit the high knee, and be done with it. I thought, like, it's the little breadcrumbs, right? It's the little things that matter. Matches are great. Matches are awesome. You can have these fucking 300, minute fucking walnut credenza fucking mat classics. But man, if you don't sprinkle in some gaga, some fucking garnish or something in the middle of it to keep me interested, it's hard, right? It's fucking
storylines make stars. It's that simple. The reason why Trick Williams has become a star is because of storylines. Like that's what like the one thing that AEW kind of lacks, not to just randomly shit on them, but it's just like we see it as like they have a lot of good people, but they don't really cement themselves as stars always because the story. It's MJF, megastar. Know why? The best storyteller they have. So and that's the thing that WWE always hits on the notes. Like storylines make stars, storylines make matches that maybe you'd be so on, like so interesting. And just like this Ilya Trick match, like when it happens, I mean, who knows if they drag it all the way out to February? I don't know, but it's just like you feel like the Mello thing's coming to a head at that point, and then we're going to be all roads full speed ahead. So this thing has just been so good week in and week out. It feels good, and like everyone's a winner from this because I mean, Ilya is just. He's established himself as such a great fighting champion. We already know how awesome Mello is, but it's just like the character work we're getting from all these guys has been superb.
Absolutely. The only thing I was trying to think about on NXT was how long they can milk it for. But like you said, maybe it's a Mania match. Maybe they can get there. I don't know. Because I do feel like Trick will beat Ilya, right? And then...
so what I think happens is They probably do the match, whether it's at was it Vengeance Day or
Mhm.
maybe before that, and that's when Mello turns on him. Then they have to do Trick and Mello, and then Trick gets past Mello, gets the rematch with Ilya WrestleMania weekend, and that's when Trick gets the title.
So
That's how I would book it.
sure, and let me just ask you this. Wouldn't it be interesting if, let's say, Trick doesn't beat Ilya, right? And then Mello regains the championship, and then Trick and Mello
That could work
but
too.
I think that'd be interesting because I think it's one of those things where it's like, for instance, right? Let's say that Trick gets quote unquote injured, right? And can't go and says Mello go do it. Mello wins, right? And then like you could do that whole thing.
Santos
Yeah,
Ray,
You could do
but like with
the
the opposite roles.
yeah, you could do the whole. There's so many options with them, and they're doing a great job. They're doing a great
Yeah.
job across the board. Anything else that's positive in NXT that you'd like to talk about?
I mean, I like all of NXT, but I just thought that was a good one to hit on now. Maybe we hit on a little more later.
Speaking of, I just want to say very quickly,
Ooh.
because you said storylines create stars, or what'd you say? Storylines make stars.
Storylines make stars, baby.
All right, I just think that should be a T-shirt, but that we're gonna have to put up on the fucking jobber knocker. But an AEW font. Sorry, I can't stop my trolling. Nestle's Troll House, right? So it is what it is. But I do want to say very quickly, because I'm a big fan of her. I think she's a superstar. Fallon Henley having fucking Tiffany being a farmhand.
As a farmhand, that's gonna be must see TV.
I mean, you want to talk about the outfits. I mean, you want to talk about like, oh my gosh, this close up to the line, going from PG-14 to another one up top. Like, we're gonna get there. It's gonna be close. And
PG-14? Is that
well, it's PG-14 for TV.
Oh, okay.
TV 14, whatever it is. It's PG, and then there's TV 14 or whatever.
TV 14, yeah.
And then there's, the Spice Channel. So we'll see. But it's gonna be fun. I just wanted to say storylines make stars.
That was the right decision. Because I was like, Fallon is her assistant. It feels like they've already, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, but Tiffany as a farmhand, you got her slopping shit. You got her milking cows and making faces. Like, that's gonna be gold television.
Also, bonus, just want to say before we move on to the Heat, Braun Breaker
and Baron Corbin. Meet. Future meat match of the week. Let's go.
I was watching that and I'm like, who's the baby face? I both like him. Like, you're not supposed to like him, but like the fact that he ran in and fist bumped him after that, I was just like,
you're bonded by being assholes, and
I was just like,
I dig it.
And they're gonna win the Dusty Classic. I don't give a shit. Like, no one else matters. No one else matters.
Why, you don't think Axiom and Frazier will win it? The best friends?
Fuck off. Do some addition by subtraction to get them fucking out of here. Honest to God. Jesus Christ. Sorry. They're not for me. I like
Frazier, but Axiom's that just get the mask off the kid. For the love of God.
All right. Anyway, sorry. You want to get heaty? Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. Oh gosh, where do we start here? Well, there's not a lot on day one that I, really didn't enjoy, but I think the only thing that we have here,
I think it's Joe's bedtime. He alluded to it in the chat. I think it's time to talk about the main event.
Yeah, sorry, Joe. Hit that. Joe's in his fucking, I can see him right now. He's sitting on his couch in his fucking Snuggie watching AEW and us, and he's gonna go.
Yeah.
Put me to bed. Here we go,
There's probably some shitty 12-man tag going right now, and we're gonna start talking about Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. So.
Oh my God. So look, across the board, not a bad match, I would say. It was fine. Main event style kind of WWE stuff. They teased the cash in, which to me woke me up, at least. It was like, oh, cool. Like, maybe they'll do something. And then thwarted off and fucking Mac kind of like, I liked the idea of like he over rotated, got his foot on the rope. Like, I love that kind of portion of like Drew fucked himself. And then, of course, rolls in, stomp, you're done. But I'm at a point now, and this is I know you're a stats guy, JC, and this blew my mind when I saw it. Since Drew McIntyre lost his WWE Championship for the final time, 12 unsuccessful title chances.
The guy went from having no world title matches to now having way too fucking many.
I'm just like, man, and that's including some tag titles and their Continental title chance, other things that have come up. 12 chances in the last, let's say, almost 3 years, right?
Yeah.
That's tough. That's really tough. But he's in the right place right now for his character to be okay with it.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. It's like if he wasn't going through this character transition, it'd be like, man, well, if back-to-back clean losses to Sethy Boy is tough. But to me, it's just like I mean, again, this is what I expected, but just seeing it, it's just like you just hope for like a little bit, maybe we get something different than we've gotten for this last 6 months of Seth. But no, it's just it's we're saving it for Punk, which I'm fine with. That's what I want, but it's just like we got to get through this stuff.
So I want to ask this question to the chat, the people that are in here interacting with us. And if you're listening, please, tweet at us or social media, whatever you want to do, because I am interested in everybody's aspect in this. I saw this on social. It blew up on my timeline, different areas. People were saying they didn't understand why Damian Priest tried to cash in and then fucking got knocked down and then just stood there and didn't try to cash in again.
Because he's not Chumbawamba.
Like, how do you feel about that? Because to me, I'm thinking like it's a television show. Like,
yeah, it's one of those like he probably should have just sold it a little longer, honestly. Because what do you eat? A Claymore on the outside,
yeah.
But it's just I don't know. I never think about stuff like that really because you understand it's a show and whatever.
Right.
It makes you roll your eyes, but it just I don't know. This whole thing it was exactly what we've gotten for like 6 months in a row with Seth, with the cash and bullshit, and with Drew losing. So it just like it was just more of the same. So I'm not going to come here and say it's the worst thing ever because it's not, because it's exactly what I expected. It was fine. Like you said, the match was fine. It was nothing special on top of the matches they had done previously, but it doesn't mean they were bad. It's just like there's nothing really new here, but it does feel like we at least are closing the book on Drew with the world title, at least for now. So hopefully Seth can get, some stuff going before we get to Punky, and Drew will probably be Cody's next side quest. So
I will say this much. So the Joe Stopper's glad he was still tub thumping, but so I am curious, everybody, like, yes, he did get up very quickly, but other people were saying, why didn't he try again? Why didn't he try to cash in again? He's already been through a 20-minute match. He's exhausted. Like, in my head, it's like, why? Why would he try again? I don't understand that logic. It's like someone was saying on Twitter, like, oh, he just kind of stood there and he should have done something. Like
he did. He scowled.
Yeah, but what is he
brooded?
Here's my logic to that, right? Like, in theory, right? Seth Rollins is up to the tippy top, right? Damian Priest might be on the cusp there, but sometimes you're gonna tell me like, oh, a tired Seth Rollins is gonna be less than Damian Priest. I doubt that highly. Like, and that's where you kind of catapult into like, is it worth it right now? This is my one shot. I want to make completely sure. So I just thought that was a fascinating aspect because it really did blow up my timeline where people were like, he should have done it again and again and again until he fucking finally cashed in. And I'm just like, you guys got to calm down. It's the end of the fucking show. Like, if he didn't cash in, guess what? It's because they're finding a better moment for him to cash in. So I just think it's ridiculous.
I just think you got to get a better timeline, bro. Get those nerds out of here.
What does Bursky say? I've never been more excited to get it to the next PLE and mix things up. Production value, small switch ups, help main draws right now. So boring week in and out with. Yeah, so that's the other thing. We didn't talk about Shinsuke Nakamura and Cody, which you want to talk about something that is just melting my face and I want it to end.
I will say this, it looks cool. Like the stuff they're doing with Knock looks cool, but look, Cody got the first promo of 2024. He was fine. Shinsuke does his little, like, the music plays. Ooh, scary Shinsuke and his Misty Mist. Ooh, and they replayed the 12 Nightmares or whatever the fuck they called it. Hopefully it just ends next week. It won't.
There's no way it does.
Oh, it's probably going to carry into the Royal Rumble, but it's like, sometimes with a side quest, it's okay if it's a quick one, but they're starting to drag this out, so it's getting bad. But if they, I know we're gonna jump. We have like 3 more side quests before Roman, and who knows? It could be more if fucking Rocky has anything to say about it. But like Cody said, he might be at WrestleMania, but he won't be in my spot. I'm with you, baby. But yeah, no, the side quest stuff. You know how I feel about it, man. It's.
Bertsky saying yawn, and I'm basically to shorten what I'm saying, I'm tired of Shin and Drew each week. It's very boring to me. Now, I don't think the Drew thing is boring. I think that Drew's just in a really tough spot.
Well, Drew getting the opportunity over and over again is what it's repetitive. It's what's on your water bottle.
It
bottom
says
sticker?
Monday Night Rerun is what it says
Yeah,
right there.
and
So
that's kind of what it feels like with Drew right now. And then Shin is just like, yeah, you know, they had to pay off the miss bullshit, but if just let's just end it here. Let's end it next week. Let's end it on Monday. Let Cody do his thing and fucking zap Shinsuke back to Never Never Land and move on.
okay. Anything else that's heat worthy? Or would you like to get hopeful?
It sucks that Gio got hurt. Love Gio.
Yes.
I just gave him my job of the year, but I will say shout out that ref, shout out the medical staff immediately for stopping that match. You hate to see it. It's a bummer, especially because that match was a lot of fun, but health comes in first and foremost, especially those head injuries. We obviously see it in other sports, but it's good to see in WWE that's taken very seriously because, you know, and I'll take another side shot here. If that happens somewhere else, that person might have more permanent damage because they ain't stopping that match. But yeah, we can move on.
Okay. Time to get hopeful. You're our only hope. Glorious.
Glorious.
I miss that song so much.
Oh, we'll give it. Is your hope that Bobby Roode comes back in the Royal Rumble?
Oh man, you want to talk about Royal Rumble surprises? So there's so many that people are talking about here. We've got Sasha Banks.
There's only
rumors.
one person talking about Robert Roode, and that's Dom.
Yeah, poor Dom. Jesus Christ, like he loves Bobby Roode. I don't understand it, but man, it is what it is. There's so much to talk about, right? When it comes to hopes, when the Royal Rumble's coming around the corner, there's a fucking giant supposed announcement from Triple H on Thursday night that's going to supposedly be a big deal. You know, SmackDown Revolution is coming on Friday. There's so many things in play here. It's just my mind is going like a mile a minute. I don't know if you have a hope, but I've got a couple.
Go for it.
Okay. Excuse me. You don't want to hear me coughing. Anyway, when I'm thinking about the Royal Rumble itself, all I'm thinking about is there's got to be some other things happening here. We're going to get the fucking, you know, KO and Logan Paul. We're going to probably get a couple of title defenses here. But the one thing I'm really focusing on right now is the World Heavyweight Championship. Like that match to me is going to be very telling. You know, what are we going to do there? Because we're not going to have Drew again. Please, for the love of God, I hope I'm right with that. But when I'm looking at Raw, I'm thinking, what could they do? Who could they put up against? Who could they put up against Seth? Like, do you know in your head like what you would want to see for the Royal Rumble? Because I'm looking at this going, to me, there's one person that like I'm interested in, but has zero value in it, and it's Sami Zayn because they wrote him off TV.
They've kind of done, and it feels like when Sammy comes back, it's to go after Drew, so that feels like a Rumble return. They've already done Sammy and Jey Uso. They both lost clean to Seth. They're not going to do Cody. I mean, God, it just, could you imagine if Shinsuke won next week and they did Seth Shinsuke again? I'd fucking gouge my eyes out.
No.
It's just, I don't know. There isn't. We've seen Seth run through the Judgment Day. There really isn't a clean answer. You're right. Like,
this is where it's interesting, right? Because we're in this weird vortex. I think if it's not going to happen before the Royal Rumble, it's happening at the Royal Rumble. Damian Priest cashes in because what I can see is a quick first time like Edge fucking wins and then loses directly a couple weeks later. He fucking wins because my hope here is like it'd be great for him. It'd be great for Damian Priest, but I feel like CM Punk's fucking train is gonna fucking it's gonna, as much as I'd love to see Priest cash in on Punk and fucking go off to the stratosphere, there is a portion of me that really, after watching on Monday and thinking about this truly, there's nowhere for Seth to go for the Royal Rumble. So I can see
maybe he gets the night off.
I doubt that highly.
They got a lot of matches booked already, man. You can't have too many matches besides the two Rumbles.
But he's a champion. He's a champion.
Doesn't matter. Like I've said before, they have two male champions. They have two female champions. Like they don't use them all every time. So
I don't know. I'm just saying it's definitely something that is alarming to me, right? So I can see some type of Judgment Day thing happening here, or potentially, like I was saying, a rematch with Damian Priest on top. I think that's a safe, because we've always talked about, right? They take more chances with title matches at the Royal Rumble. It's a perfect spot for it. So I think that's my hope here is like, if Seth doesn't have somebody that we're going to get behind, no Drew, no Shin, please keep Cody away from it.
They're doing Drew again. The more I think.
No, don't say that. Don't fucking say that. We're doing something Judgment Day related. Here's my hope. Damian Priest cashes in, can go into Royal Rumble as the fucking champion, and then he gets his little fucking time for 3 weeks. It's safe. It's bubble wrap, because I think CM Punk is just, he's the guy. Like, there's no fucking beating around the bush for me. So that's what I think.
That's super fucking lame. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like,
super fucking lame.
I'm not hopeful for this title. Like,
but it's your hope, bro.
I'm just not. Like,
you're filling your hope with disdain and disgust and disappointment. Well, Triple D, not the good one.
I know, but what my thought is like, my real hope is just get the fucking title off of Seth Rollins. Yeah, like well, that, but we're gonna wait till Mania for that. Jesus Christ, you know.
Hell, he might even beat CM Punk. Who knows? Because all Punk's dream is just to main event WrestleMania, not necessarily win.
He just wants the zeros in his bank account. He doesn't have to have the fucking.
He just wants to go on last. And sorry, buddy, it's gonna be night one, but
it still counts, right? He's
it still counts.
But I just, if anybody in the chat, anybody listening to this, if you can tell me who Seth Rollins is gonna face at the Royal Rumble, I don't have a fucking clue. No, fuck off. Fuck that. Damian Priest versus Truth is what I want. So here's what it is.
There's your title match at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Well, my hope goes, there was a thank you note sent to Tony Khan yesterday by someone. And, you know, we're going to have a Rumble Hopes episode, but I want to get deeper with this one because there's a lot of moving parts, especially on SmackDown. And we even saw on NXT last night, you know, a lot of moving parts with the LWO and all this stuff. And a certain member in there has ties to a now free agent. And that's Miss Zelina Vega, who I adore. But I also adore when she is paired with El Idolo! So my hope is for El Idolo back in WWE. He returns at the Rumble. He, you know, obviously he's going to be connected to the LWO with Ray and Santos and Carlito and all these guys and have little mixings. But the reunion I'm looking for is him and Zelina because that was the highlight for him. That was the highlight for her. It'll be even cooler now that she's wrestling too. To have them back reunited, I think it makes a lot of sense. He works better with a manager. I honestly think him and Lana would have been great in AEW if that contract wasn't ending. So I was happy the way they did that. My boy Miro picking up the big win, getting his wife back. Shout out Miro. But that's my hope, man, is I just want Andrade back in WWE. It's funny because I'd always, especially when Collision started, I said, man, this show is so good. It has all my favorites. And then it just has an Andrade match, which is fucking Bane's every week. And this guy, it was the one Continental Classic matches I watched for his because he's just so fucking good. Like, he's just one of those guys I watch, and every time I'm just like, my jaw's just open because, like, this guy's so smooth. Everything's effortless. The only fucking negative is his goddamn finish, but getting me there, he gets me all the way up. I probably finished before the finish anyway, so we're good.
Like we talked about, it's the reverse bra snatcher is what it is. And that's exactly what it is. It's a guy fumbling around in the dark taking off a bra. It takes too much setup, but whatever. Yeah, I get it.
It really is. And he'll fit seamlessly, I think, especially with all the Latin World Order stuff and all that good stuff they have going in WWE. He'll kind of like add to that. And obviously him and Santos down the line, you get him and Ray again. You get, you know, you can even obviously mix it up with Dom and everything. But there's a lot of great matches for Andrade because look at every match Andrade in is great. So I want him back in the E. Bring him back. Hashtag JC knows. Hashtag JC's hopes come true. Hashtag Elidolo!
All right, now it's time for a comeback. Don't call it a comeback. He's been here for, well, a fucking long time. I'm giving my comeback to one Jinder Mahal. You can't hinder the Jinder. Literally, like, everybody got out of their seats. They were like, let's see the big star. And then his fucking music hit, and you could feel the collective... You could hear the collective groan, and I went, what a great troll job. Like, but here's the thing. They didn't just parade him out for 2 seconds, like you said. 5 minutes. He even did a fucking part where he said the United States national anthem in Punjabi and they booed him. And he was like, this is what I'm talking about. You're all a bunch of idiots. And I was just like, who knew that Jinder Mahal could do that? Right? Like, we know The Rock comes out and fucking does his tap dancing routine and fucking crowd participation and fucking this side over here says hello. This side over here says, hey ho, and whatever.
Day one douchebag.
I know what it is.
Douchebag.
I know. To me,
day one, douchebag. Day one, douchebag.
I'm just saying, to me, I just think that Jinder did a great job. And here's the other thing. You kind of glanced over it when you said at the beginning, but he got some fucking offense in.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I mean? And that was the first person that's gotten offense in on The Rock.
Poor Eric Rowan didn't get that.
No, he got 6 seconds, like a quick delight, like most of us. But man, fucking Jinder got some punches in, and I was just like, man, like, what is this is when you know The Rock's getting closer to fucking coming back, when he's
He
letting people
also like
fucking
was
trade.
positive to Jinder, being like, "Look at man, we know you're yoked." I was like, The Rock actually gave someone a compliment. Usually, it's all undressing. So
Right. I mean, that's the thing. That's my, you know me. That's my biggest
that's,
takeaway
yes.
with The Rock is like, you can come do your fucking tap dancing routine all you want, but you're supposed to leave somebody better than when you find them. And The Rock just fucking trucks over everybody he's ever involved with. So for Jinder to get fucking offense in, I was just like, you know what? At least they're making up for something. So I just thought he did a great job. He's a utility guy, clearly, but man, what a great job he did. I thought he was better than anybody else that's interacted with The Rock in recent memory. So
Yeah,
kudos
it
to
worked
him.
perfectly. It worked perfectly. And speaking of returns, the guy who was there a long time that wasn't, and Carlito made his return and debut on NXT, teaming with Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro, filling in for Dragon Lee as they took on the whatever fucking dumbass name the Drew Gulak stable has. I forgot it, but it's fucking terrible. But I mean, Carlito looks so happy, man. He was just smiling the whole time, crowd going. It's just like, I love when guys come back like that. And you can just see him eating up the scenery. He pretty much stood on the apron for most of the match till the end. But the highlight was him and Cruz launching Joaquin halfway down the fucking ramp. If you haven't seen that clip, check it out. But this was cool to see, man, because I don't think any of us expected it. Obviously, NXT was trying to treat this like a big show because it's their big New Year's show, and it felt like it. And this was a nice little treat for a match that felt like, why is this on the card? Well, now we know why. So it was actually a really fun match too, Nestlemania. I know you don't want to hear that. 6-man tag that I watched in full. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, Carlito and crew picked up the win. So it's good to see Carlito back. I'm assuming now he's going to cost Santos on Friday. So we'll see him again as KO wins that. But it's good to have my boy back on TV because I've been hoping for Carlito to be in the Rumble for years. Got it last year. I want it again. Keep giving it to me, baby.
That wild dive was awesome. Like I've seen that done in ring, and I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool. But to see him launch to the outside of the ring, I was just like, man, what a fucking special moment that was. Thank God they caught him, because that could have been a fucking ending. But man, what a fucking whew. Thank goodness. Shall we get to the big old finish?
Let's get to the big old finish. In Nestlemania, AEW has revealed their big signing in the women's division, which we will get to in a moment. But first, we got to wrap up Raw and SmackDown. On SmackDown this week, we have the #1 contenders match between KO and Santos. Sounds like we're both going KO to challenge Logan Paul at the Rumble.
I would think KO all the way, baby.
Then we also have another #1 contenders match between LA Knight, the Phenomenal, and Jacked AJ Styles, and our fucking favorite snake, Randy Orton. Nestlemania, who you got?
I mean, it's Randy Orton or bust at this point, right? You would think.
That's what it feels like to me. I am picking Orton as well. We head over to Raw. We have Cody and Nakamura. Cody, please just end it. We have the tag titles, the rematch, Caden and Katana versus Chelsea and Piper. I expect to retain there. CM Punk returns, and we also have Finn Balor taking on Tommaso Ciampa.
That's going to be a good match. I don't really think anything matters to it, but it does make that sniffing argument of,
well, it's just the tag title
thing.
thing. Yeah, that's how it came up. So our truth set that one up as well. Remember, he was backstage goading Finn into being like, "Oh, Finn's a scaredy cat." Finn's like, "I'm not a scaredy cat."
So it makes sense. It makes sense. I get it.
Yep.
All right.
And then also on NXT next week, we have the D'Angelo family defending against OTM in the tag titles. Cora Jade takes on Gigi Dolan in the GAT match of the week. And the Dusty Classic begins, which we know a few teams in it. We know Chase U will have Andre Chase and the new young fella. Since JC Jane's taken over, we know it's Corbin and Braun, and I'm curious to see what other teams we have in it, but we always love the Dusty Classic here. So.
We do. Dusty Classic is a fucking hodgepodge tag team, but I'm sure it'll be great.
All right, let's get to World's End. Let's get to AEW. As if you haven't, if you're listening to this later, the Virtuosa Nestlemania is all elite. Deonna Purrazzo, after the Mariah May match, it appears has come out according to the AEW Twitter account and is all elite. So there is your big signing in the women's division, at least so far in AEW. But obviously, a lot to talk about here in Nestlemania. Where would you like to start?
I mean, Deonna Purrazzo is great, but I don't think she's going to be as great as they, in AEW.
She helps that division because she's a good worker. That
better.
Division desperately needs people who can wrestle.
Yes, and we'll talk about it, I'm sure, when it comes to World End with some of those matches. But like, man, like she's a great worker, but she lacks a lot in the character development. But maybe she'll strike gold. Who knows? But Mariah May always, to me, is like she's the person that's going to beat Tony. in my opinion. But that's just me.
Interesting.
Also, something that popped up in my feed was that apparently they're calling the Devils stable undisputed. That's a real thing.
I mean, should we just start there with the main event? Because I feel
I
like
mean,
that's
let's
the
just
biggest
do
thing.
it.
We can work our way backwards. So MJF lost, clean as Samoa Joe, clean as a sheet. Adam Cole was at ringside. Him and MJF appear to be about to be beat down. Lights go out because, you know, Tony every night has to have lights out, even if the House of Black isn't there. And it reveals Adam Cole sitting there with the minions, which are the Kingdom, Roderick Strong, and Wardlow. So we correctly had all the members just in like different potential roles. But I'm curious your take on all this. It's one of those things where this was the only way I think they could do it, because anyway, it would have been a massive flop. But I still think it could be a massive flop depending how they execute it going forward. So I'm curious your take.
So I think we talked about Adam Cole is the right person for sure. Adam Cole is absolutely fantastic in terms of the, you know, the only other thing I could think of was Tony Khan. That would have been fucking hilarious to me.
Oh, it would have been so bad.
I know, but it would have been, I would have.
It was me all along, Austin.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been fucking awesome. But again, Adam Cole to me makes sense. Wardlow is the only thing that sticks out like a goddamn sore thumb for me in this entire thing. Or it was just like, he didn't need to be part of this fucking faction. And the other thing too was like, he was on fucking fire as a baby.
It makes the faction legitimate though. The problem is putting him in the role that he's already been in, which kind of sucks. But
yeah,
you know, it made sense that he would align with them because he hates Max so much. But yeah, I mean, that'll be an interesting dynamic to see how it plays out. But what kind of sucks with this is it just, I don't know. I wanted like Adam Cole to be the one to end MJF's reign. Obviously, the injury has affected that, and I'm assuming he's still not cleared at this point. So how they did what they had to do. They called the audible. Joe's been hot, and you know, he's a good representation for the company. So I understand why they made that decision. But it's just like this, I don't know. It's weird now, and we can dive more into it here with like the MJF parts. Like, if he's selling all these injuries, like he's technically a free agent now, and he's going to be off TV for months. It's like, it's one of those, like, this faction now has to work in limbo, which they got their heat by turning on this guy who's not going to be there. So what are they doing in the meantime? And then also, like, when MJF comes back, like, is he going to be like the full baby face, like fucking run, right? Like, I'm curious to see how it plays out, but it just feels like obviously things out of their control with the injury kind of hurt this, but I don't know. It all is just kind of falling a little short for me for all those reasons.
Well, apparently it's the Undisputed Kingdom. I should have retracted my statement there. That's what it is now. They have a whatever. But for me, MJF is going to definitely be injured. Like, he is injured. He's doing whatever he could, and he needs surgery or PT or whatever he's going to do. And good for him. But get surgery, get cleaned up, do whatever. But the longer he waits to make a decision, the longer he's going to be out. Right. So like, get it done. Move on. And like, people are like, oh, he'll show up at the Rumble. He's gonna stay in AEW. And here's why. I fucking hate people who are saying, oh my God, MJF is gone. He's going to WWE. He will be in WWE. We've talked about this. Like you said, JC, perfectly. 3-5 years down the line. Yeah. He'll be there because he's fucking incredibly young, incredibly talented. But here's the kicker. He's the baby face in this story right now. And they're not going to just kill off the babyface without the babyface coming back to get what is rightfully his. They just won't do it. And I can see when Max is ready, he's going to take out Roddy. He'll take out everybody one by one until it's just Adam Cole. That's what's going to happen. And then there's going to be some giant fucking grudge match. You know, I hope to Christ they don't do blood and guts, because that to me screams a bad idea. But because I don't want to, no offense, I don't want to see Roddy Strong.
You're listing all the ways AEW is going to fuck this up.
I don't want to see Roddy Strong. I don't want to see Matt Taven, and I like Mike Bennett, but no. Wardlow, no. Adam Cole, fine by himself. But if you put all these fucking people inside blood and guts, I'm going to go, nobody cares about 4/5 of these guys. Stop it. So that's my only caveat. No blood and guts. This is not a faction that I'm going to give a shit about. I'm sorry. I think Adam Cole with other people, fantastic.
Adam Cole and Wardlow would have been just fine for me.
It's fine. Exactly.
I don't need these other three stooges because this is my biggest problem with this whole thing. Is it's just like for weeks we've been dealing with the Roddy being like, Max is the devil, blah blah blah, just nonsense, like annoying nonsense, and then obviously he's just part of the group. It just you can say it's misdirection, but I think it was just kind of like not the best storytelling, which is rare for AEW.
No, the other thing I want to talk about, because it's based on storytelling here, is what wasn't the main attraction or the main talking point out of World's End? Samoa Joe being the world champion.
Yeah, exactly. That's my other issue with it, is it feels like that's why I thought when this happened with MJF losing, like it should have been a big deal, like with Adam Cole, like it just the Samoa Joe, and it just felt like, yeah, we're taking the title in a different direction because we want to make it more about wrestling, and this thing's going to be on. It's like, it's just, I don't know. And you know how I feel about Samoa Joe. I love him. He's awesome. He's great. He's a legend. He's a fucking Hall of Famer. But him as a world champion, like I fell asleep just thinking about it.
Samoa Joe's got a lot. Like I liked what he said in the presser, but again, we're not even going to get into the fucking dirt sheet bullshit that happens in AEW. But that overshadowed one thing, and then the fucking devil reveal overshadowed another thing. It just felt like. I'm not even going to go through the entire fucking card because to me, I'll piss through this very quickly. Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander, fucking
Botchamania. Next,
whatever. Kill Switch winning, we know made sense for the fucking later, whatever. Hook needs to go to NXT and WWE. He is useless in AEW. He needs to go. I don't give a fuck about the 8-man tag. It was fun. Like it's fun.
Which one? Weren't there two?
I don't know. The fucking 8-man tag with the BBC or whatever. But like
the BBC.
Who cares? The BBC,
the BCC. You just keep saying it's BCC and you keep saying
I know
BBC.
what it is. I know what it is. I like the joke better.
Oh, we know what's on your mind.
Yeah, clearly. I love the big B. So Miro, as you said, beats Andrade. Duh. Makes sense. Whatever.
That was a fun match. I enjoyed it.
It was a fun match. Tony beats fucking Riho. It's fine.
Lame.
Whatever. Unfortunately, Swerve didn't get to face Keith Lee. That was it was a good match, but again, I lost interest. I didn't give a fuck about the other 8-man tag because of whatever else was going on with the whole
NDA.
Yeah, NDA. Woohoo! Like this was like to me a very low point.
Sting, by the way, I'm gonna be Dom's representative on this podcast. Justice for Sting that he had to be a part of this bullshit.
I mean,
Sting.
Last time in AEW. I mean AEW in New York. Excuse me. Yep. In New York, and he's fucking in that fucking garbage. The one thing I will say, and I'm not even gonna bring up fucking whatever the NDA bullshit is. It's fucking hearsay. But what I would have done for this to fucking really just like send the point home was have the fucking heels jump, the Ocho, put him through a fucking table, and just leave him there, and have a 3-on-4 match. And then the fucking baby faces win with Sting. Like that's all you had to do. But you couldn't help yourself. You just couldn't help yourself.
Well, he should have been punished for this, and he clearly wasn't. And this is what happens when you don't punish someone for something that clearly happened based on everything that we've been giving. And then he goes and has that mockery of a press conference after. That's all I'll say about that. Is he fucking embarrassed himself and he embarrassed his company.
Well, it doesn't help that he was wearing a fucking giant hat and glasses.
Yeah, it just like to have the sense when you feel the question, when you get a question. Poor Julia Hart fucking sitting there too, just like these questions coming, but they had to be asked, and Tony just acting like an absolute clown, bro. Take off the hat, take off the glasses.
Moving on to something else less grim. Julia Hart and Abaddon. Look, like I love this. This is spooky chance. Like I thought that was great. The fucking entrance. She's a star. That moonsault was dog shit at the end, but. I
feel like my problem, because I feel like this happened before with her. I feel like they're always way too close to the ropes for her to like. She needs to, like, she needs to be.
They need to be like almost in the center of the ring.
Yeah, they need more space. Like it just every time I watch it happen, it's like, why is Abaddon like her fucking feet are like in face are like touching the rope way too close? It's like for a move like that, you need space. I feel like every time, I don't know, but this match wasn't good.
And then moving on to something that finally woke the fucking crowd up. Adam Copeland,
highlight of the night.
Honest to God, everybody was hating on this match. I just thought
you don't like stories.
You don't like stories. You don't like stories
These are two fucking guys over 50 years old who put in a better show than anyone else on this fucking card. They did all the spots. They did everything. They told fucking stories. When stuff didn't fucking work out the way it was supposed to, they made it work. And then they had the fucking beautiful thing at the end with Christian immediately winning the title back, snatching the contract from Killswitch. This was fucking beautiful. It made sense for all the characters. And guess what, guys? You're supposed to be fucking disappointed when the bad guy still wins at the end of the day and your fucking hero fucking comes short. That's how you're supposed to feel. It's wrestling, but this was just so beautifully. We can shit on AEW storytelling. This is an example of them fucking knocking it out of the park. Grand slam, home run. And if you're going to whine about it, cry me a river.
I just think, like you said, everybody that was involved with that match came out better. Every one of them. And that's what you want. That's what you want Killswitch to fucking turn on Christian Cage. It's set up.
Christian with Nick Wayne's mom is fucking.
Oh my goodness.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
It's fucking Nick Wayne.
Jesus I mean, it works. It's so fucking perfect for this. It's just like, it's this storyline is so beautiful. I love it.
And I know we're big Christian guys, so it's hard to like fucking, not gush over it, but man, like
so good.
The fact that like Edge got cashed in on, like that's something that he was known for. Like everything works. It's just like people don't like WWE style storytelling when they're AEW fans. Just enjoy wrestling. Like that, like to me, that woke me up. And then you go to the next match with Eddie Kingston, like and Mox, like you can say what you want about the fucking match and Eddie being a bum and whatever, but like Eddie Kingston won. Like, congratulations. Like they made a fucking big deal about it. Like Eddie did something. Now, granted, the Continental Classic is a real championship. Why the fuck do we have another title in this godforsaken promotion that doesn't matter? And it looks more like a goddamn trophy fucking title that was just like a generic thing. That bothers me more than anything else, but whatever. It was a cool moment for Eddie moving on. And we talked about
I love Eddie Kingston, but this just like it was a complete waste of time just to like it's just vintage AEW the way they
And I will say this much. The Continental Classic, as we've talked about, wet fart, right?
Worst thing of 2023.
And this was the culmination of it. You know what I mean? And you're like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, come on. So it's tough. It's just tough. It's just tough. But again, across the board, I think this was the weakest AEW pay-per-view I've seen all year.
Oh, it was bad. Yeah.
And it doesn't help. It doesn't fucking help. So it is what it is. And also, I want to give my comeback right now to Private Party, which apparently came back too. So I'm excited for
there we
Private
go.
Party.
Marquette's finally healthy.
Yeah, and Takeshita just beating the shit out of Darby Allin right now. So
I forgot about Darby Allin. I feel like he's been gone for a while too.
Takeshita is gonna fucking murder Darby. I will watch that. So that's fine. But again, wrestling's fun. Just have fucking fun. You know, that is what it is. Anything else to really get the fuck out of here?
I think we covered all our bases, Nestlemania. We will be back next week at our standard day of Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So get your peepers popped ready for that. We will have reaction to New Year's resolution on SmackDown, whatever the fuck all this bullshit in AEW tonight and Saturday, and then as well as Monday Night Raw. Do we call it day 2?
Day 2? Week 2?
Yeah. As we continue to chug along to the Royal Rumble. It is the best time of year in wrestling, Nestlemania. Rumble season, baby.
All right. Well, with that, thank you for listening and watching the Jobberknocker podcast. Excuse me. Blah, blah, blah. We'll be back next week with more Jobberknockery.
Alita!